Hi friends, I'm Joe Hopkins, and this is 5 Minutes to Make Sense of the Bible. This week, we are focusing on 1 Samuel chapter 26 to 2 Samuel chapter 1. This short reflection is especially meant for folks who are reading the books of Samuel as part of the Life and Times of King David reading program at Streetsville United Church. But even if you're not participating in the program, please listen on, dear friends. Here's a summary of the narrative for these chapters. We read a story of David sparing King Saul's life, which is very similar to an earlier story, but with a few differences. In this story, Saul is sleeping in the middle of his army when David finds him, and somehow David and one of his companions sneaks between the soldiers to where Saul was sawing logs. David's companion encourages him to kill Saul, but David rebukes him and instead takes Saul's spear and water jug. Once David has gone a safe distance away, he wakes Saul and the whole army and shows that he again had the opportunity to kill Saul, but didn't. Saul again tells David that he's a pretty swell guy and promises to stop persecuting David. However, David is not convinced that Saul will stop pursuing him, and at least until one of them is dead. So David makes, kind of the odd choice of taking his whole band of outlaws and then offering to serve the king of the Philistines. Surprisingly, the Philistine king agrees, and David and his merry mercenaries go around attacking the enemies of the Philistines, including, every now and again, Israelites. David succeeds in this role so well that he becomes the bodyguard of the Philistine king. To be honest, friends, I did not remember that story, and it surprised me. The narrative switches to King Saul's perspective. The Philistines are threatening to attack the Israelites again, and Saul, who has lost access to guidance from God, despairs so much that he breaks one of his own rules and visits a medium psychic spiritualist type person. At Saul's request, the medium summons the spirit of Samuel, who died a year or two before. The spirit of Samuel tells Saul that he and the Israelites will be defeated by the Philistines, and moreover, he, Saul, would die in battle. Saul breaks down at this news, and the medium revives him with a freshly prepared meal. Because who could be expected to face one's own demise on an empty stomach? Back to David. He is still serving the Philistine king, who is preparing for battle against the Israelites. However, the Philistine army commanders figure out who David is, and they convince the king to send David away just in case he decides to switch sides again. While David is pouting about being sent away from the battle, Amalekites raid David's village and take all the women and children hostage. Naturally, David and his merry mercenaries are outraged, and they charge after the Amalekites, kill all of them, and save the hostages. Now back to Saul. The Philistines and Israelites have their battle, and just as the spirit of Samuel predicted, the Philistines rout the Israelites, kill Saul's sons, and mortally wound Saul. Not wanting to be killed by the Philistines, Saul then kills himself. The Philistines use Saul's corpse as a decoration for one of the towns they captured, but Israelites retrieve Saul's body and give him a proper burial. Meanwhile, David is hanging out with his posse when he hears word of the defeat of the Israelites by the Philistines. The messenger claims to have killed Saul himself, which outrages David, so David orders that the messenger be killed. No word on whether they used a bow or arrow, but apparently David is not above shooting the messenger. The chapter ends with David singing a ballad to mourn Saul and Jonathan. Now for some reflection questions. First, what do you make of David serving the Philistines? the sworn enemy of the Israelites? What experiences do you have of living or working somewhere that you never expected? Second, do you believe that the dead can speak to the living? Do you think that communication with the dead fits within Jewish and/or Christian teachings? And three, how do you react to bad news? Are you ever tempted to shoot the messenger, quote unquote? So there, 5 minutes to make sense of the Bible. I hope that you'll continue to read the rest of the books of Samuel and notice some details that pique your curiosity. God often tries to catch our attention by piquing our curiosity. And as good as reading the Bible alone is, please remember that we make the most sense of the Bible when we read the Bible together. Peace, friends.